pleasant good evening from Monrovia and welcome to King's News Group. 45 minutes of news about Liberia and elsewhere. I'm Stephen Compton Angori. In the headlines, President Joseph Boakai fires back at critics of his administration, described it then as disrespectful and reckless talkers who intend on undermining the progress and achievements of his government. Liberia National Police sends to court a 32-year-old woman following an incident that left a 10-year-old girl injured. LNP says if Vermont's action violates Section 14.20, Section 16.6, and Chapter 16 of the Liberian Penal Code. And also coming up in the news, U.S. government challenges the government of Liberia to adopt a more robust and impartial procedural approach in combating crimes and the fight against corruption. Away from home, Sudan's paramilitary rapid forces have allegedly committed numerous crimes against humanity during a siege of the city of Fasher in Darfur. UN investigators say. Details of these developments, the news bulletin, and the voices of the news makers are all packaged. We are taking a very short break. When we come back, we'll bring you the full bulletin of news. Welcome back. Up next is the bulletin of news with Sam Andrews.
President Joseph Boakai has described critics of his administration as disrespectful and reckless talkers, intent on undermining the progress and advancements of his government. The president's statement came in the wake of growing public concern over Liberia's governance, economic challenges, and other national issues under the Unity Party-led government. Speaking at the opening of a cabinet meeting held under the theme, Delivering Improved Livelihoods for the People Friday, President Boakai expressed frustration over what he called the tone and intent of many of the criticisms directed at his government. According to him, some individuals who constantly criticize his administration lack moral integrity and proper upbringing. He accused them of engaging in baseless attacks intended to damage the reputation of the government and derail its developmental agenda. The Liberian president urged members of his cabinet to remain focused and committed to their duties in the face of public criticisms. He emphasized the importance of delivering tangible improvements in the life of Liberians and reaffirmed his government's dedication to national development. In a related development, President Boakai is said to be facing a rising tide of public criticism following comments at his cabinet retreat held at the Executive Mansion Friday. The Liberian leader during his cabinet retreat with ministers includes heads of agencies, expressed frustration over what he termed as angry and loose talks from critics about his government's progress. The Liberia National Police has charged a 32-year-old woman identified as Eve Wama with aggravated assault and child endangerment after a violent incident that left a 10-year-old girl injured in the Gardnersville area. According to the Women and Children Protection section of the Liberia National Police, Madam Waman allegedly used a sharp object to slice the right finger of the young victim, Georgina Johnny. The incident, which occurred on September 2nd, was initially reported to the police by a concerned community resident prior to the alleged perpetrator's arrest. Madam Waman has been charged under Section 14.28 and Section 16.6 of Chapter 16 of the Liberian Penal Code. The case has since been forwarded to the court as child rights activists demand swift legal action and justice for the young victim. Football legends George Weah and Didier Drogba are among the high-profile names appointed to a new FIFA panel of 16 ex-players, which aims to boost efforts to tackle racism in the game. The sports global governing body originally announced the creation of a players' voice panel at its annual congress in Thailand in May 2024. Former AC Milan striker George Weah and ex-Chelsea forward Didier Drogba have now been named as part of the group, which includes players, both men and women, from 14 countries. The panel will advise on anti-racism strategies, participate in educational programs, and contribute to reforms across football. Football brings unity and development. It also enhances humanity, George Weah said, who has been named as the panel's honorary captain. FIFA President Gianni Infantino said the panel members will support education at all levels of the game and promote new ideas for lasting change. They will further push for a shift in football culture, making sure measures to counter racism are not just talk about, but action, both on and off the pitch, the FIFA president said. In a diplomatic exchange reflecting Washington's growing impatience, U.S. Chargé d'Affaires Joseph Zadronin Friday met with Liberia's Minister of Justice, Oswald Tuwe, to discuss the country's what is being described as government undecided efforts to combat entrenched corruption and reinforce the rule of law. The meeting, which was held behind closed doors and later disclosed through United States Embassy near Monrovia in official statement, marked a noticeable move in tone from the United States, a longtime ally and major donor, as frustrations mount over Liberia's fragile judicial institution and its long avoided reckoning with wartime atrocities. The meeting centered on Liberia's ongoing and often blind attempts to prosecute corruption, pervasive issue that continues to erode public trust and obstruct national development. The resident circuit judge of Grand Bassa County, Joe Bago, has sentenced Prince Wilson to 10 years in jail for armed robbery. The sentence follows Wilson's conviction for armed robbery involving multiple victims within the city of Buchanan. The court reportedly found Wilson guilty of engaging in a series of armed robberies that terrorized several individuals across Buchanan, causing widespread fear in the community. Judge Bacon, in a statement, emphasized the seriousness of the offenses and the need to uphold public safety and justice. The sentencing marks an important step in combating violent crime in the area, reaffirming the judiciary commitment to ensuring accountability for those who threaten community security. Prince Wilson Jr. will now serve his sentence under strict confinement conditions as ordered by the court. Liberia Land Authority and partners have embarked on a two-day training workshop in Buchanan, Grand Bassa County. Giving an overview of the workshop Friday in the port city of Buchanan, Landisa Land said specialist, that's land tenure specialist, Mansua Aboa, said the workshop will provide a platform for participants to review the revised gender training manual and make recommendations on the validation process. According to her, the secure land tenure for rural community member is crucial in alleviating the people from poverty. She indicated that the workshop will help in consolidating a more standardized document to be used by all stakeholders to regulate the allocation and uses of land, among other things. The workshop, which was organized by Liberia Land Authority and partners with support from Landisa, brought together 30 participants. Amid mounting public outrage over a viral video depicting a violent altercation between a tricycle rider and uniformed officer around Kakata Highway. The Liberia National Police has clarified that the officer in question is not an officer of the LNP, but officer of Monrovia City Police. The incident, which spread rapidly across social media platforms, show a commercial tricycle operator physically assaulting a uniformed man in broad daylight as bystanders look on. Initial public reaction included condemnation of the apparent lack of respect for law enforcement and the rule of law. A group of women from Tuobo Administrative in River G County is calling on local authorities to take urgent action to resolve a long-standing dispute between Tuobo and Webo districts. Carrying placards, the women demanded immediate settlement of boundary demarcation between the Grebo subtribes who share close ties of kinship and intermarriage, but have been divided by disputes over land ownership. Speaking during the protest Friday at River G Administrative Building, a member of the group, Annie Wallow, expressed frustration over repeated delays by county authorities in addressing the matter. She expressed fear that if the situation is left unresolved, the dispute could escalate into violent clashes similar to other land conflicts in the country that have resulted in the loss of lives. Madam Wallow also underscored the importance of respecting boundaries to maintain peaceful coexistence. Responding to the protesters' concern, River G County Superintendent Mark Swingbe assured the women that his leadership will work to find an amicable solution to the matter. Liberian lady Christina Tugba is calling on disadvantaged youth to live strict lifestyle and engage into activities that will benefit their lives and society. Speaking in an interview Friday, Christina Tugba said, strict life can only waste the time of an individual who wants to be great amongst people in society. She recounted her experience when she was involved into street activities, noting that it wasted her time. Madam Tukpa added that it is time disadvantaged youth stop taking drugs and stealing and reintegrate themselves into society. The United States Embassy near Monrovia has announced collaborative maritime security initiative between Liberian Coast Guard and the Michigan National Guard. According to a release from the United States Embassy near Monrovia, the effort is to facilitate under the state partnership program involve joint exercises at U.S. Coast Guard Sector Detroit aimed at exchanging maritime expertise and building regional resilience. The release noted that the embassy touted the engagement as a deepening of U.S. defense cooperation. Some observers are asking whether this symbolic gesture addresses Liberia's more pressing maritime security concern or simply reflects broader U.S. strategic interest in West Africa. And prominent Liberian lawyer and politician Charlene Bromskin is calling for unity, visionary leadership, and renewed commitment to the development of Grand Bassa County and Liberia at large, delivering a powerful address at the annual United Basa Organization in the Americas convention to a packed audience of diaspora members, development partners, and supporters. Charlene Brumsky emphasized the vital role Liberian diaspora played in shaping national transformation through investment, civic engagement, and leadership.
Sam Andrews there with the news bulletin is a regular featured on King's Newsroom. 45 minutes of news about Liberia and the rest of our one globe. In one of our top developments, President Joseph Boakai fires back at critics of his administration, described it then as disrespectful and reckless talkers who intend on undermining the progress and achievements of his government. We are taking a very short break to be right back. Welcome back. Let's now take our first development. President Joseph Boakai has described critics of his administration as disrespectful and reckless talkers who intend on undermining the progress and achievement of his government. The president's statement came in the wake of growing public concern over Liberia's governance, economic challenges, and other national issues under the Unity Party led administration. Meanwhile, speaking at the opening of the cabinet meeting held on the theme delivering improved livelihood for the people Friday, President Boycott expressed frustration over what he called the tone and intent of many of the criticism directed at his government.
When you talk about public service, this is truly what you're doing. Receive insults when you even do the right thing, but that's the way it goes. Once you leave the job, they will not insult you, but not necessarily for the thing you have. That's the human beings. That's who we are, especially the country that we're in. Reckless talking, disrespect. People are not trained and they speak any kind of way. Some of them don't even know what they're talking about. But if you say you're not going to take that, you just leave public office. But I want to thank all of you for what you're doing to improve the condition. I wish people will ever know the condition we took out of this country over with, but you're not able to tell them everything. I always say don't cause the darkness, turn the light on. Just do what you can do. That's why I'm happy we start with prayer, with close. Only one person who knows the truth. That's God that we serve. He knows the heart, he knows what you bring to the table, he knows the time you sacrifice, the commitment you make. But also, let's all look at the flip side. People are always embarrassed that you do what they didn't do, so you can't blame them for that. But our obligation is to the people, to serve the people of Liberia. That's why you called to do. Otherwise, you would have been doing something else somewhere. But you did it because you feel that we need to rescue this country. I'm not shying away from saying that it is a true rescue.
The Liberian leader, at the same time, emphasized the importance of delivering tangible improvements in the lives of Liberians and reaffirmed his administration's delegation to national development.
You've been listening on the radio, some of the, I don't know whether I call them soft issues, but our society has been taken over by people under whose control we are. They know how to manipulate prices. They know what to do. Hitting inflation. I mean, they have their agenda to make money and at all costs. But let us remember that the people that hurt our people, they don't know. And that's why this committee is doing a very good job. And some of the things the committee done, they reveal them to you. I think it would be necessary to have an idea how these people go about trying to trick us in all. They're very smart. It's not something that started. It's years ago. They've been used to it. They've been used to. So why you making the effort? If people blaming you, they are there making things difficult to make money, bringing products that are rejected elsewhere, uh, double dipping. I was hearing somebody telling me about sugar. I don't know whether you give him, right to people to bring sugar, but sugar is on the market. There we'll find it out. And for God in heaven's sake, our obligation is to our people to make life better for them.
In a related development, the Liberian president is said to be facing a rising tide of public criticism following comments at the cabinet retreat held at the executive mansion on Friday. The Liberian leader, during his retreat, among including ministers, heads of agencies, Friday at the executive mansion expressed frustration over what he termed as angry and loose talks from critics about his government's progress. But reacting to the president's statement a few hours after the retreat, many of the citizens described the president's statement as a total disrespect on the part of the Liberian leader. They argue that instead of President Boycott acknowledging the legitimate concerns and grievances of a population that is said to be struggling with unemployment, rising prices, and corruption, the president chose to paint public disgust as a responsible chapter.
Well, President Blanca should be telling Daniel Sano that Daniel Sano is not true, okay? Because Daniel Sano can sit and be spraying on garbage, put a ledger before the Daniel Sano can sit and solve past the former government of in this country. Mr. Blanca, so if Mr. Blanca referring to people that they are not true, Daniel Sano and Jeremy Pierre should be the one who be telling that they are not true. I'm going to get put a ledger before Political Sardine and the Minister of Information. Political Sardine, Jeremy Pierre and Daniel Sano, they insult former government officials there. They put out Jeremy Pierre, insult the very, okay, insult the very, why were the action Mr. Blanca in Daniel Sano and Jeremy Pierre? It's still bluffing this country. So long Mr. Blanca cannot rescue in this country. How we want to do to the national women, Mr. Blanca, Mr. Blanca. Why can't they enter in the country? Blanca promise answer your rescue. So long Blanca can rescue her. So what Blanca doing to power out in the country? I will started to tell all right, I come out with nothing that somebody do. Yeah, a boy can't find the delicate. I'll bring it to the country that's only they do. So say to your all those money Blanca in the country. You say I will bring reference and just say they are ready. I ain't reference come out. But Blanca should be telling us how you rescue the country. The brother boy yesterday, I ritual, telling our people that come forward to the now, for Mr. Weir. Mr. Weir is the uncle of this country. Mr. Weir remains the biggest opposition political leader and the incoming president of the people of Labrador comes to the now. Mr. Barker and Jeremy Pierre, Daniel Sano, they are political starting.
All people been saying before me, the president is disciplined.
You look at the president, he's not disciplined.
He's disciplined. If you look at the people that vote you, if you want to insult them, you discipline. They don't put you to power. They give you the mantle of authority. Then you use the power to insult them, then you discipline. I take it back when they can be people. When Yaga Kola was supporting him, if that woman was disciplined, at the time Yaga Kola insulted the president, but then George Monowia, those are you more Baga, held him. So today, if the citizens that vote you, the citizens that voted you to power, if you go by a cabinet retreat, and tell us, the citizens that loot on God, then he is disciplined. He is disciplined. What if he is not disciplined today, he is not disciplined tomorrow.
Voices of citizens there reacting to President Joseph Boycott's recent arrest against his critics. Earlier, you listened to the Liberian leader. The Liberia Land Authority and partners have embarked on a 2-day training workshop in Buchanan, Grand Bassa County. Giving an overview of the workshop Friday in the Pole City of Buchanan, Lesidat Land Training Specialist Mandan Mansurt Aboad said the workshop will provide a platform for participants to review the revised gender training manual and make recommendations to the validation process. According to Hall, the secure land tenure for rural communities members is crucial in alleviating the people from poverty.
We've been supporting the government through supporting them and helping them, providing both financial and technical support in the development of policies, regulations, laws, geared towards secure land training in Liberia, most especially for women. We are a gender focused institution, and what we do believe in for our mission, we believe in lifting, we believe that secure land training for poor rural community people is key to lifting them out of poverty. And that's why we believe in, we are so focused on supporting the LLA in ensuring that the Land Rec Act that was enacted 2018 is being fully implemented as it is in the law. And into that, we have been working with the Liberia Land Authority, creating awareness across the country on the implementation of the law.
And to this next development, a lady identified as Christina Tokba is calling on disadvantaged youth to live street lifestyle, engage into activity that would benefit their lives and the society. Speaking in an interview Friday, Christina Tokba says street life can only waste the time of an individual who meant to be great among people in society. She also recounted her experience when she was involved into street activities, noting that it wasted her time.
But she got taken for she said yes, you have to read up on there. I was saying you get up on the Sunday play, I won't play my players. And then when what I push my mom, the bitch my mom was I push it. She used to cry, but she did not give up on me. This is the time, this is the time that I gotta tell most people when I'm going to platform to speak to parents. I said, we do not correct your children with spit. They will do the what they will see from you on the true wedding, but you don't correct them. Mama was there crying, she was there. What kind of God there? I told my mom, I go with her. I don't know you, and I just said, God, no, my father, yeah, my father, military, I mean, when you get me, you're a joke. You see, pregnant, I don't want how, and I don't want her. So I'm saying these things to say, I wish I would ever like that is not safe for me to say this people. It is about God. I don't care how you carry it because I am the one telling you. You don't know how story was. So I'm telling you so you can be able to just over 700 people for the 90 million and close to 600 million. They are there every day.
Christina talk about their speaking, where with almost half an hour past the news presentation. This is a reminder that you are listening to the Friday, September 5, 2025 edition of the news program. And top stories we are following this evening. President Joseph Boyka fires back at critics of his administration, describing them as disrespectful and reckless talkers who intend on undermining the progress and achievements of his government. Liberia National Police sends to court a 32-year-old woman following an incident that left a 10-year-old girl injured. LMP says if Wandal's action violates Section 14.20, Section 16.6, and Chapter 16 of the Liberia Penal Code. U.S. government challenges the government of Liberia to adopt a more robust and impartial procedural approach in combating crimes and the fight against corruption. And away from home, Sudan's paramilitary rapid support forces have allegedly committed numerous crimes against humanity during the siege of the city of El Bashir in Dufal, UN investigator says. We are taking a very short break to be right back. Welcome back. Now, today's development, a prominent Liberian lawyer and politician, Councillor Charles Lane Bronskin, is calling for unity, visionary leadership, and renewed commitment to the development of Grand Bassa County and Liberia at large, delivering a powerful address at the annual United Bassa Organization in the Americas Convention to a packed audience of diaspora members, development partners, and supporters. Bronskin emphasized the vital role the Liberian diaspora played in shaping national transformation through investment, civil engagement, and leadership. Councillor Bronskin said Liberians cannot continue to shy away from politics when the direction of the country is shaped by political decision, adding it is not just about representation but responsibility, noting that it is time for Grand Bassa to take its rightful place in Liberia's national leadership.
And I believe we are the only group that shy away from politics when our country is driven from its belly by political action. It will not do us any justice to come here and look fine and to eat very good food and celebrate and leave here without acknowledging the points that were raised today. So y'all please give me 2 minutes. This idea of unity among the Bassa people, the second largest tribe in our nation. The idea of economic empowerment that the program mentioned here today, that should rise from Grand Bassa County. But most importantly, that we are intentional about developing the young people. The program and I have spoken on a number of occasions about, we have said there's no reason that we cannot sit here should not be the commercial hub, the economic capital of Liberia. So, Bassa people, when we sit here today and we enjoy ourselves, we will be remiss if I didn't leave here tonight and say there is no reason, and this thing will put me in trouble because you are on TV, that Bassa, at this point in our history in Liberia, has not produced a president. I'm sorry to, but I'll be 50 next year. And the women who are their-ish or over young or after a certain point, you don't care what people think. You say what is important, what's necessary to say. Nobody from you are mad. All this senator is, yeah, this senator would be senator. Right. Like an Edith Congo there. There is no, the Nima people, they don't shy away from pushing their own. Why was Bassa always the timid when we say we have the best? What we can lead to? My cry here is a personal one too. Because if you know my last name, you know my father sweat, sacrificed for us. And we were not united enough to do what Nimba has done, Bofa has done, the Southeast has done. We will have another chance again. This is not a tribalistic issue.
Councillor Bronskin, there speaking. The Ministry of Education has announced a major initiative aimed at tackling the alarming number of out-of-school children across Liberia. Appearing Thursday at the House of Senate, Education Minister Dr. Jaso Jala said the ministry has waived registration fees in 7 counties, especially targeting children who have been absent from school for 2 years or more. According to Dr. Jala, the initiative is designed to remove financial barriers that have prevented thousands of children from accessing education.
Kindergarten to GSS.
Yeah, so we need to know, so the public can know he's talking about free school.
Yes, kindergarten to GSS public schools.
Is it GSS?
Junior secondary school.
Yeah, you gotta explain that.
Which is grades 6 to 8.
Okay.
So, regarding universal access, we started the Back to My Classroom campaign launch in the 7 counties that I spoke of. And our goal is to get 250,000 students back in school. We are in the process, and UNICEF is a partner to the ministry in this endeavor to take stock on what we have achieved in terms of bringing kids back to school in year 1. And that report, once we complete the ticking stack for how many kids we've been able to get back to school, that will be shared with the committee. We've also implemented the GOL flagship project. We will be implementing the GOL flagship program for primary and foundational education between 2025 and 2029. We're able to secure the Liberia Excel project, which is excellence in learning. And if we've heard about school construction, this is the project that is going to do that. But that is just a component of the Excel project, because we want to strengthen teaching, learning. The development plan calls for teacher capacity and student learning capacity. And that project is our answer to fixing the foundational learning of our country to yield the learning outcomes that we have. Look at the literacy rates in Liberia right now, we're under 50%. And with that baseline, we need to advance and make progress there. What we also done is enforce the teacher code of conduct, and we're continuing that process. That is under universal access.
The newly elected representative of Nimba County District 5, Koto Kwagru, has backed Senator Samuel Kogar's call for a financial audit of the county's legislative caucus. Appearing on state radio Thursday, Representative Kwagru called for a comprehensive internal audit of all county-level expenditure projects and development fund. The representative further expressed concern over what he described as years of unchecked spending, voice reporting, and institutional silence surrounding the use of public funds in Nimba County.
I'm here, Isilo. I believe that portion of these rooms is not clean. But you know that we are using room for 3 days. At the there should be some little dirt on the ground. Then your little brother say, thank you. We are clean our thing, but not out of this room and clean all because we just want to have cleanliness in our community. I don't think your little brother, they respect you. Onokoga said they should audit the county. I said, in my mind, Onokoga is right. What is happening to Liberia that we keep going back is corruption. So I believe, let's add this one there too and clean everything. Now, I want for to come from there only then they say, what's about they want? So that clean everything. I'm not saying to Koga, I say legislature. I think see, I'm not saying to I don't say district number 5. I'm not saying on Koga, but I say I want county development fund because take from me. Under the leadership of Speaker Eric Talos, there was a resolution among the representative that annually every district should receive 72,000. And this 72,000, when Lays preside what is 72,000, after the deduction of 10% I go to Lays, the district will have 68,000 to work with. Now, this money was meant for development, and not just in my district, it was across Liberia. Now, this legislative funding in question, after 2023 election, they changed the code to legislative engagement because some of us were speaking about it already. That where are the funding? So they changed the code from legislative support projects to legislative engagement. And engagement can be how you take the money, you go give it to your people, how people speak to you, you give it to them. This engagement will not make clear what type of engagement should be made by legislature. Now, this funding was given. So we want to know how this engagement funding were used. We also want to know how the legislative support project funding were being used. That is not to an individual, even to those who are left in space. So you go in.
Representative Kwagru of Nimba County District 5 there speaking, and he's now taking up for our foreign development. Sudan's paramilitary rapid support forces have allegedly committed numerous crimes against humanity during their siege of the city of El Fasher in Darfur, UN investigators say. The report by the UN fact-checking mission accuses the group of murder, torture, enslavement, rape, sexual slavery, sexual violence, forced displacement, and prosecution of ethnic, gender, and political grounds. It also cited broader evidence of alleged war crime by both the RSF and the regular army. However, both sides have previously denied any wrongdoing in the country's ongoing civil war. The UN report meanwhile said the two groups targeted civilians in numerous ways and a deliberate strategy. Both sides have deliberately targeted civilians through attack, summary execution, arbitrary detention, torture, and inhuman treatment in detention, facilitated including denial of food, starvation, and medical care, said fact-checking mission chair Mohammed Chadi. This note accidental but deliberate strategy mapping to war crimes. It welcomes you monkeys to search the remote Sudan landslide site where hundreds fear death, highlighting the RSF's action in Fashid. The report accused the group of using starvation as a method of welfare that might amount to the crime of examination. In April, the RSF stormed the Zanzan camp near the city, forcing tens of thousands of the world's most destitute people to flee their homes once more. The situation in the camp was already so bad that a famine had been declared. The report added. On this note, this is how we got home on today's edition of the news program. But before we take leave of you, here are top stories. We close the photo. President Joseph Boyka fires back at critics of his administration, describing them as disrespectful and reckless talkers who intend on undermining the progress and achievements of his government. Liberia National Police sends to court a 32-year-old woman following an incident that left a 10-year-old girl injured. LMP says if woman's action violates Section 14.20, Section 16.6, and Chapter 16 of the Liberian Penal Code. U.S. government challenges the government of Liberia to adopt a more robust and impartial procedural approach in combating crimes and the fight against the corruption. And away from home, Sudan's paramilitary rapid support forces have allegedly committed numerous crimes against humanity during their siege of the city of El Fasher in Darfur, UN investigators said. In this note, we'd like to say many thanks to our reporters, editors for making today's news presentation a success. Sam Andrews brought us the news bulletin. Marvin Val, Sarah Control, and ably coordinated the sound. I'm Stephen Conton. Thanks for listening and watching.